Dave Noriega, Jason Shepard, and Alex Curie from Cougar Sports Saturday. BYU suffers a devastating loss, 35-20 to Utah State. Even worse, and if there is an even worse than ruining your perfect season, BYU loses Taysom Hill to a broken leg for the entire season. It was the first thing coming out of Bronco's mouth is, he's gone, we got to move on. It's now Christian Stewart. Let's stay with the game, though, really quick, Jason. What really stood out to you? Why BYU struggled so much with the Aggies?
It's all about defense, and this is now 3 games in a row where subpar offenses have come in to face BYU and have put on an offensive show. The defense seems to be regressing, and I'm not sure that the coaches know why. And it's something that nobody really saw coming after those first 2 games, because the defense looked like they were kind of on the uptick. And the last 3 games, they have been taken deep. After first contact, they're letting guys slip through and get extra yards. They seem to be regressing right now.
Daryl Garrison looked like the best quarterback I've seen in the entire country. It's like, move over Marcus Mariota, Connor Halliday. I don't even need it was all about Daryl Garrison. Yeah. I mean, he had all day to stand back and look and for things to open. And you saw BYU's corner struggle so much when they had time to get deep. I mean, those were long routes, those touchdowns.
Well, and they did have all the time in the world. That was the number one thing that I saw was zero pressure. You didn't see any pressure given to the quarterback, and so he had all day to throw. And then those routes did open up because as soon as they had a little extra time, right over the top. I mean, and Bronco said it right off the bat, too many guys getting behind those defensive backs. Over the top stuff, how many big plays do you have to get before you make those adjustments, and they didn't do it.
And it's devastating to look at this rivalry of what has happened to the quarterback position. 2 years ago, Taysom goes out for the season with a knee injury against Utah State. Chucky last year goes out with a knee injury. Again, Taysom this year. I mean, it's amazing how badly these guys are killing each other on the field, and they're just kind of fluke injuries. They're not dirty plays. It's just happening to get hurt playing the game. How does BYU move on from Taysom? Because it was such a morbid silence that we heard in I mean, could you believe how quiet it was? It was just so quiet, so deflating. How does BYU move on with Christian Stewart? There's so much pressure on the guy.
There's no question. I think you saw that tonight. We've all seen what Christian can do in fall camp, and we know the type of player. And granted, I know it's fall camp, but this is a guy that can play the quarterback position. He got into a situation today where BYU was down 2 touchdowns when he came in, and I think he was really trying to do a little too much. I think when he gets an opportunity...
A little? I mean, did the guy throw anything under 25 yards?
That's the other part about it is fans, media, we've all been clamoring to bring the deep ball back, and clearly Christian Stewart is going to bring the deep ball.
I'm bringing back the deep ball on every possession.
Well, I thought it was interesting, though, because Bronco was asked afterwards, do you change anything? He's like, we hope we don't have to. Right. We hope we can still stick with the offense we've got and not tweak anything. I think it was interesting. I think we saw Christian run a little bit more. I think there were some people that were surprised to see him run as much as he did, but clearly you're going to tweak things a little bit. And, we were joking about it, but I do think the deep ball is much more in his repertoire than it was in Taysom's.
Getting those wide receivers involved more, Jordan Leslie, Mitch Matthews, Devon Blackman perhaps. We saw, like you said, in fall camp, he throws a very nice deep ball. He was a step too far. In on most his throws, but it wasn't like he was throwing ducks up there. It was just he was missing wide open receivers.
He was jacked up tonight. You've asked this guy to go in, like Jason said, to an impossible situation and go in and try to be the next guy. And fans, they kind of gave him a little bit of credit, but at the same time, once you started seeing some of these balls going overhead, 34% percentage of completion. Not good, but I mean, this is a guy who he owned up to it after the game, and then he said, we're going to score touchdowns, we're going to throw the ball more. And his receivers, they have to be pretty excited about that because you've got a great running back. And if Christian Stewart can get on, you saw what Daryl Garrison did tonight as a backup. He was extremely accurate. Yeah. I mean, you can say he had all day to throw, but he was extremely accurate. And if Christian Stewart can do that, he can have the kind of night that Daryl Garrison had tonight.
And you saw some mobility from Christian Stewart. He was able to scramble. He was able to move. But he kept his eyes downfield, and he was looking for those receivers. Final thought, it feels like there was so much pressure put on Taysom to run the ball, to carry so much of the offensive load. Do you anticipate this high-flying offense of throwing the ball over the place, or do you think you maybe see a more pared-down, running type attack offense using Jamal Williams?
Jamal is your guy now. He's your offensive key because Christian Stewart is not the number one guy on your offense anymore now. I mean, unless he starts performing, to these crazy numbered levels, Jamal Williams is your premier guy. You've got all these other running backs. He's got to get 20 to 25 carries a game, maybe even 30, and still mix it up with Paul Lasike and Adam Hine and Algie Brown. You've got to mix those guys in, but Jamal is your guy, and then Christian Stewart can only add to that if he can get accurate.
BYU is a running team. They have been for the last couple of years, though in the second half with Christian Stewart, we saw a passing team. Is that a transition that BYU can make, or do they have to get back to their roots where they've had recently?
Well, I think one of the reasons that they were throwing so much is they were behind. I mean, if this were a normal game, I don't think we would have seen that many passes in the second half. They were trying to come back, and it just didn't work. But I agree with what you guys were saying. Jamal Williams was already an important piece to this offensively with Taysom. With Taysom gone, he needs to be the workhorse. And I think he's up to that challenge. We know what this guy can do, and a case can probably be made that he's been underutilized to this point.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to be saying that moving forward because of just how crucial he is to what this offense can be moving forward with Christian, with the wide receivers, with a good offensive line. There's still things this team can accomplish, but things that the grand things that everybody was talking about, the undefeated and the New Year's Day Six Bowl, that stuff's gone.
Speaking of the lights turning out on a season, I mean, if that is not a more appropriate metaphor to what happened to BYU, just shut the lights off. I mean, they'll go 11-1, and it'll still be a disappointing season because expectations were so high. And really, the offense has run-pass options. The fact was, they were all pass options with Christian Stewart. So BYU will have to figure out how to find that balance between their quarterback and their running back. BYU fortunately has a short week. They don't have to suffer and remember this game. They play on Thursday against Central Florida. They travel to Florida, to Orlando to play. So we'll see if BYU can recover quickly, because they really have no other choice. And they gave Christian Stewart a lot of reps during fall camp, during spring, because they knew that was a possibility that Taysom could get hurt. So we'll see what happens on Thursday, and I think a lot of questions will be answered how the rest of the season goes. So for Cougar Sports Saturday, I'm Dave Noriega, Alex Carey, and Jason Shepard.